Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here for episode number 909 on our YouTube channel. Well, today we are featuring a young man who has been nominated to be a National Star Finalist in the category of placement pursuing a life as a veterinarian. We'll be introducing you to Will Shelby. You are going to really enjoy his story, growing up the son of a veterinarian and why he is now pursuing that career in rural Oklahoma. We're going to get that started for you right now. Will, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Well, I appreciate you having me. I'm really looking forward to talking about my SAE and things like that today. So,
Well, great. Well, I want to say congratulations to be a National Star Finalist, and it's a phenomenal achievement, and man, way to go.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. And in placement, correct? You've been working in a vet office?
Yes, sir. Placement, veterinary science experience, and I worked under my father, who's a large animal veterinarian, and also had some work under a few other veterinarians. So,
okay, cool. Well, we're going to circle back around to that really quick, but I got to tell you, these Zoom meetings are great because I'm easily distracted. Now, for the people who are listening only, not watching this on YouTube, we got to talk about what is going on behind you. So, is that a Texas Longhorn hide that's on the on the wall?
Yeah, it's I had to have some type of decoration for the backdrop since I'm in my room, so I wanted to make it a little nice looking. So that's about the best.
You decorated specifically for this interview?
Yeah, so I that's about the best decorations I had. So it's not much, but
that's cool. Well, good for you. And then you've got something. It looks like done on a cutting machine or something with the state of Oklahoma. Is that the state seal or what is that I'm looking at?
It's an award I got for all around Oklahoma junior cattlemen. They gave me that, and I thought it was pretty neat, so I hung it up. It's made out of metal. It's actually pretty heavy, so it's fallen off before, so that about hit me in the head one time. That's a bit of experience, but
yeah, that's very cool. Good for you. Good for you. Well, that's great. That's great. Okay, so you're obviously in Oklahoma as we're talking about this. You're formerly of, and how do I say the name? You know, I mispronounce everything. So how do I say the name of your town and your high school?
Madill.
Oh, I would have got it right. Okay. So yeah. Madill High School in Madill, Oklahoma. And when did you graduate?
2017.
2017. So you've been out now 3 years. So
yeah.
Are you a junior in college right now?
I'm a senior in college right now,
You're
actually.
A senior. Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know, I should know. I get this time of year, I get to interview all the star finalists, and it's a lot of fun for me. I should know better than to think that everybody is going at the same pace as I went at in college. Everybody's way faster than I ever was. You're all so smart, and you're so good at what you do. Okay, so you're a senior this year, so you're graduating this May?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are you majoring in?
I'm actually an animal science major with a pre-vet option. So my goal is to go to veterinary school after graduating. So.
Okay. And where are you getting your undergrad?
Oklahoma State.
Okay.
Yes,
Oklahoma State. Man, Oklahoma is well represented for National Star Finalists this year. That is great.
Yeah.
I just interviewed Nicole Stevens. Do you know Nicole?
Yeah. She I think she might be a year younger than me, but she grew up and was pretty active in livestock judging and a few other things I like to do too. So I was kind of aware of her and never really got to know her great, but always seemed like a really nice person and an active FFA member.
Well, she's a National Star Finalist at Oklahoma State as well, but in Ag Ed. She's majoring in Ag Ed. Agri-science research is her category. So, yeah, Oklahoma is well represented. That's cool. Okay.
Sure.
So how long have you been part of the FFA? When did you get involved?
I started in the 8th grade. I have to do some backtracking. I guess that was around 2014, somewhere in there, 2013.
Okay.
You know, I had an older brother that was very active in FFA, so you don't want to say that it's been a part of my life since I could remember. I really couldn't wait to finally do it myself. So I started in the 8th grade, and I had two great ag teachers throughout my time, Mr. and Mrs. Harper. They're actually a couple, a married couple, so they were really looking forward to getting started, and it was an enjoyable time for me. So
very cool. And were those your only two ag advisors that entire time?
Yes, sir. Throughout my entire time, I only had those two. So that was that was really nice because, you see a lot of chapters that have, you might have one or two or a few different ag teachers throughout your 10 FFA member, but it was really helpful for me to have those throughout my entire time. So we really could kind of set goals and stay on task throughout that whole experience. So.
That's great. Well, good. Well, thanks for acknowledging them. I always love to do that on the show all the time. Okay, so you have the older brother, and then your father is a large animal vet. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. He is a large animal veterinarian and works specifically with cattle. So
specifically with cattle. And then, do you guys keep cattle of your own, or strictly work with them, away from the home?
Sure. No, I have some cattle of my own, and he owns quite a few cattle. We kind of have a cow-calf operation going at the house.
Okay.
So probably quite a few commercial cows that we breed each year, and then I have 15 to 20 purebred and kind of showbred stuff that I like to do. So that's also something I'm involved in.
What breed are you raising?
I have a little bit of everything.
Showing.
It wasn't something that I had one specific breed I liked. I kind of was open to whatever we could find. So I showed a lot of Maine on Jew cattle, really premier breeder in my hometown. And then I had some Shorthorns and like I said, a little bit of everything. So that's kind of what I have now, a broad arrangement.
Okay, right on. That is cool. And so where are you applying to vet school?
Sure. I actually applied this month. I applied to Oklahoma State University, their vet school, and then I applied to the Texas A&M program. So hopefully we'll see and get some feedback on that. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. Vet school, so I have an animal science degree, and I will tell you right now, Will, I started off pre-vet. We had 3 options. I went to Montana State. We had 3 options. We had pre-vet, we had nutrition, and we had farm and ranch management. I started off pre-vet, couldn't hack it. I changed to nutrition, definitely couldn't hack it. Moved to farm and ranch management and squeezed out a degree. So I admire what you're doing and where you're headed. But I do remember from back in those days how competitive it was to try and get into vet school. Is it still that way?
Yeah, it can be pretty tough. A lot of times you can almost kind of expect probably, it's going to be tough to get in the first time you apply. And that's one of those things that you kind of have to be prepared for mentally and keep in mind, like you said, throughout your entire time, definitely staying on top of grades and stuff like that, because it can be pretty challenging to get in. So,
yeah. When will you find out?
Sometime around December, I'll figure out if I got an interview or not, and then from that, you'll go through the interview process, and then closer to the spring is when you'll find out if you got in or not. So it can be kind of a long process, but we'll see. Hopefully it goes good.
I'm sure it will. And so when you are practicing, will you fall under, like, work under your father or something like that, or do you want to work for a different vet, or do you want to I don't even know. Can you start your own practice right off the bat, or do you need to do some time working under a different veterinarian?
Well, it's one of those things. They don't necessarily require you to start off working under someone else. They do have a lot of programs have a kind of a preceptor program. Well, you're practice under a vet, almost like a student teacher for a little while. But past that, most vets usually do work under someone else, just starting off, because school is kind of some of those starting off costs, getting some of your equipment. It can be a pretty big task to get done, especially, you've been in school the last 4 years, so it's not like you have a huge income.
Right.
I'll plan on working under my father for a little bit, and hopefully kind of taking a hack at some of the school costs, and then past that, I'd like to have my own practice and maybe specialize in a little bit more reproductive work and cattle and stuff like that. So.
Okay. And do you want to focus primarily on large animals as well?
That's kind of the plan. I grew up in kind of rural Oklahoma. There's a lot of cattle producers and just food animal and large animal producers in general. And it's kind of something that's in really high demand and a low supply. So that's kind of my goal, is to stay and specialize in large animal and go back to rural Oklahoma and hopefully give back to some of those producers and ranchers.
Good for you. That's awesome. I can envision it already. Well, Will, I'm going to take a quick moment just to acknowledge a couple of our sponsors. Everybody, of course, I want to make sure and mention Lacrosse Footwear. You can find them over at lacrossefootwear.com. They are a great sponsor. The way they became a sponsor in this show is I tried out their Alpha Range boots. They're neoprene-based rubber boots, and man, they're the best pair I've ever had. I'd been searching for a pair that wouldn't break down after one season, and I'm still on my original pair. They are great boots, and you were going to love them. And after all of that, I reached out and said, you guys should sponsor this show, and here they are. And I love talking about lacrosse during our FFA episodes because they are so proud to support the FFA by donating $25,000 in both jackets and scholarships every year through the Give the Gift of Blue program. So please check them out. You can find them over at lacrossefootwear.com and slip a pair on your feet very, very soon. And then, of course, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. For my money, you cannot buy finer livestock handling equipment. I'm from the West. I've been grown up around range cattle that only see humans 1 or 2 times a year. And Powder River has grown up the same way. Over 80 years developing livestock handling equipment out here in the West for cattle coming in off of our rangelands. And they've developed them for the most difficult to handle cattle in the entire country. And if they can handle those cows, well, they can certainly handle yours. Check out their entire line of products, everything they've got to make your life a pleasure working with your cattle. You can find that all at powderriver.com, and let your local farm and ranch retailer know you want to see that Powder River green out in their sales yard. All right, well, Will, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. So it's been placement, and it's been, has it been like a job shadow with your dad, and you said with a couple other veterinarians, or like a paid job as a vet tech? What has it been?
Sure. When I got in the 8th grade, before then, I obviously did a lot of work with my dad. And when I started the FFA and saw the opportunity, that was kind of when we decided to start doing some paid hours. And I obviously wasn't too opposed to that. But it's been a paid, basically, job. I'd work hourly. And with the schedule, with me being in school and stuff, it was a little difficult, I feel like, for a lot of people my age to commit to a full job. But because of some of the hours that they work, a lot of times they'll work into the night, all through the summer. It gave me a good opportunity to get whatever I can in. So I would travel with my father. He is a veterinarian at a couple different sale barns.
Okay.
Oklahoma National Stockyard is one of the do work with him there. And it was a broad range of stuff, starting off with a little bit more base level jobs, whether that's pushing up cattle or sanitizing the equipment, shoveling.
Okay.
But over time, I kind of worked up and gained more knowledge and got to do a little bit more high-tech stuff. And we go to ranch visits, different stuff like that, pregnancy testing cattle, semen checking bulls, and a broad range of stuff. So. Okay.
Interesting. You know, I never thought this would happen. Have you seen that YouTube channel of that large animal vet who lances the, I want to say goiter, but what am I trying to say here, Will?
I don't know if I've seen the specific one, but I'm pretty sure I've seen some of the videos of some of the gross or lancing some of that.
Millions of people are fascinated with this to watch them lance it and watch. If I've got one at my house and I got a cow like that, man, I got to hold my nose and I got to put it on a stick. I have the scalpel's on a stick. I don't want to be anywhere near that. I just don't understand that. But it's put your future profession on the map here.
Sure. It's funny because there's certain things like that you would never think was what people would be interested in. But like you said, there is a lot of people that watch those videos and stuff. I'm not a big fan of it, but if that's what you want to watch on YouTube, then I think it's great. At least I suppose. Positive PR mileage, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. So when you look forward and you're looking at what you're going to be doing, and I realize you're going to be a large animal vet in a rural area, you're going to have to be a jack of all trades. You're going to have and you got to be unbelievably reasonably priced for these men and women who are raising cattle and relying on these for their living. They call you. You know how it is. That's a moment of desperation is probably the wrong word, but they get to the point where they're like, I can't solve this myself and I need help. And it's a cost-benefit analysis, and they need you to make a living so you don't go away. On the flip side, they can't go broke saving a cow. You know what I mean? It's this balance. And I know you'll have to be a jack of all trades because they can't call a specialist for each different type of issue. Do you have any idea? Is there a way you're leaning towards something that you think will be, I guess, the highlight of your day? Like, will it be doing maybe a C-section on a cow, or maybe it's histology, maybe it's diagnosing what's going on, or looking, or like at the sale yard, and just being able to be really efficient and do quick checks on cattle, make sure everybody coming through is healthy. I mean, do you have an idea where your strengths will be?
Like you said, it's being a veterinarian. You have to be prepared for that. It's one of those things that, especially if you're working for livestock producers, we understand growing up in the ag industry, it's working on some pretty tight margins sometimes with those producers, and you have to work with them. And like you said, a lot of times it's those situations where you don't want to say desperate, but it's kind of at your wit's end. You don't know what to do. You call the vet. So, I don't know that I have one specific thing that I've really thought of and said that that's really what I want to do. I just kind of a general area. I kind of like to do some of that efficiency work, like you said, going to some of these cells, making sure everything's good, and preg checking cows, stuff like that. And another thing I'd like to do is kind of some of that stuff that best helps the producer be the most about as efficient as they can, whether that's some of the VFD stuff, working with their feed, or just general herd health, whatever I can do in order to help them produce a more efficient product. I've been really interested in that growing up, especially since, I've been involved with raising cattle and stuff. I know, like I said, it's pretty tight margins sometimes. So whatever I can best do to help, that's something I've been pretty interested in.
I'll tell you what, I know how some of these Oklahoma farmers and ranchers can be. So I learned about cattle from my stepfather and his dad, my step-grandfather, and they moved from Oklahoma to California, to the Central Valley of California during the Great Depression and following up on the Dust Bowl. And my stepdad was so hesitant to even give shots to cattle when they needed them that for years at Christmas, I didn't know what to get them. I'd get them a bottle of LA 200. That's what I would get them for Christmas and be like, treat your cattle if they need to be treated. So I know about these tight margins. I know how some of these guys are. So, you got to work within those margins, and you're there to help. But again, you've got to make a living or you cease to exist, and there's no vet in the area. Of course. So it's an interesting thing. Man, I am excited for you. This is really cool. What is it going to mean to you and to your family and to Madill High School and the whole community if you walk away with that National Star Award?
It would mean a lot. I can tell you that, as you probably know, at least in my case, I know it's for most everybody's, it was not at all an individual effort throughout my FFA career. The amount of people that have helped me and pushed me or anything, just been involved, is countless throughout my community, my town, my county even. My parents, my ag teachers, my principals and teachers. There's so many people that have had a part, and I've just my FFA career in general and making my experience what it was. So I can tell you it would mean a lot to a lot of people throughout my town and community. So.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I want to end with this. I want to ask your advice for other students. So many students start out, I was one of them, starting out saying, I'm going to be going to veterinary school. Matter of fact, I started later. I started college that way, but a lot of students start high school. They go into the FFA and they're saying, I want to be a veterinarian. And you start looking at that. You're a freshman in high school. You got 4 years of high school, 4 years of undergrad. Then you got vet school. It's super competitive to get in. Then it's expensive. It is, you have got to want it. You really do. I always call agriculture and farming a lifestyle choice business. But being a veterinarian certainly is too, because there are so many obstacles in your way. What advice do you have for that freshman starting out who wants to be a vet? And, what would you say to them when they hit that first bump in the road and they go, man, I don't know if I can stick it out that long?
Well, like you said, it can be kind of a tall mountain looking up at the bottom when you're at the bottom of it. But, I haven't gotten to vet school yet, so I can't speak from that experience, but I can say this far, there's going to be some challenges like anything. There's going to be some stuff that probably discourages you, and that's okay. It's going to be like that with everything. But I would say that if that's something that you're interested in, and you're passionate about, then work at it and buy into it. Because I can tell you, seeing my dad's career and so many other veterinarians that have had a career in it, it's one of those jobs that it's going to be a grind. And when you get out of school, that's not when the hard part ends,
Yeah.
So be prepared for that. But if that's something you're passionate about, it can truly be an awesome career, and you get to have a hand in helping so many, not only animals, but people. And if that's something you're passionate about, I would say it's totally worth it. So buy into it. That'd be the advice I'd say. So
that's great advice. Well, man, I am excited for you. I'm excited to see what happens during the national convention this year. And thank you so much for coming on. Best of luck to you.
Well, I appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you to Will Shelby for coming on the Off-Farm Income Podcast today. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.